turn any Polaroid 100 to 400 series land camera into a camera that uses Instax Wide in 5 minutes. Don't believe it can be done? I'll show you how today on PolaStax. Now, before I walk you through this Polaroid to Instax Wide conversion, and by the way, this is a super easy thing to do. No special tools or expertise are required. I do need to ask you a favor though. Please take a moment and like and subscribe. This is a brand new channel. I really need your support. So before you forget, like and subscribe. My goal here is to tell as many people as I can about how to use Instax in a way that will make it shine, because it's a great film stock. I really love it. And I want more people to get more out of it. So please take a moment, like and subscribe. I know you hear it all the time. I know it gets really old, but it makes a difference. I need all the help I can get, and you are there. You can help me right at this second by liking and subscribing. Okay, I'm done with that part. All right, so what's involved with turning a Polaroid 100 to 400 series pack film camera like this into a camera that can use Instax Wide? Well, there is one thing that you're going to need that you cannot make yourself. That is the PolaStax Instax Wide film holder. If you haven't already watched my other videos, I apologize for the audio quality in those earlier videos. It's awful. I'm sorry. As you can see, it's fixed now. But watch the earlier videos where I go into a lot more detail explaining how you use this holder to put Instax Wide in a Polaroid land camera like this. Essentially, what you're doing is you're loading a sheet of film into the holder in a darkroom changing bag, putting the holder in the camera, taking your shot, and then you take the holder out and you develop the film either in an Instax camera or at an extremely affordable, very easy to find Polaroid 545i film back. I have plenty of videos that show you how to do this, so I'm not going to spend time going into that today. But this is a necessary part of the equation. If you want to use Instax Wide in a 100 to 400 series pack film camera, you do need the holder. So go to PolaStax.com to buy it there. All right, so let's assume for the moment that you have the holder or you're getting the holder. What else do you need to perform this conversion? Well, it's done in 3 simple steps. Only one step involves the film compartment of the camera. I'm going to show you from the overhead view how that's done, but I will describe it before I show you. So I'll walk you through that part. Again, that is literally the easiest part, and it is so simple. The second part involves adapting the light meter or the lens itself. Now, this is not a part where you're going to change anything on the camera. You're just putting something over the light meter or over the lens. And I'll go over that as well. Again, no special tools, no expertise, so don't worry. Once you see what I'm talking about, you're like, oh yeah, that's super easy. I can do that. Literally anyone can do it. The third part of the conversion is the battery conversion. Now, if you've already converted a Polaroid pack film camera to use AAA batteries, you don't even need to worry about that part. You're already done. But for those of you that have an old pack film camera that has not been converted to use AAA batteries, you probably want to do this part as well. Now, this is the part of the conversion that has been covered in many videos and articles all over the place. So there are many different ways of doing the battery conversion part of this. I did not come up with that. I'm not the first one to do it. And if you have a better way of doing it, do it that way. That's fine. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just showing you how I do it. Okay? Now, what tools do we need? For the back of the film compartment, the film lid, we need a small flathead screwdriver like this. Now, if you don't have one of these, you can get them at your local hardware store, or you can get them off of Amazon. Not a large one, you need a small one. They used to call these jeweler's tools, excuse me. I don't think they call them that anymore, but they're not hard to find. This Phillips head is actually for the battery compartment. That's it. If you're going to do the battery conversion, you do need a pair of wire cutters. Wire strippers are helpful, but not necessary. Soldering iron is also helpful, but not necessary. And then again, for the battery conversion, you do need some black or red electrical tape. The color doesn't matter. All right, what are these two pieces? You see some 3D printed pieces here. All right, this piece is for the battery conversion on specific camera models, not for every camera model. This is a piece that I'm going to make available on Thingiverse, and I'll explain what that's for when we get to that part. This goes over the rollers in the camera. This is also a piece that I'm going to make freely available. If you want to 3D print this yourself, you're going to be able to do that. And if you don't have a 3D printer, I'm going to explain an alternative to using this piece. This is a light guard for the rollers in the camera, just to safeguard your film, because Instax Wide is ISO 800 film. It's sensitive to light. All right, with all of that out of the way, I'm not going to talk about the light meter stuff or the lens stuff right at this instant. Let's go over what's involved specifically with the film back and why we need to change it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. Now this is a model 100. This is not a model that we offer at PolaStax.com. We have a number of refurbished Instax ready cameras at PolaStax.com. These are cameras that have been shutter tested, had the light meters recalibrated, they've been cleaned and checked out. All the conversion work has been done for you. They're very affordable cameras too, so if you don't feel like doing this yourself and you just want to get to it, you can go to PolaStax.com and buy one of our cameras and you're all set. But if you have your own pack film camera and you want to do this conversion, let's go over what's involved before I switch to the overhead. Now, you'll notice that in this film back, right? So there are some pieces here. Now these pieces are screwed in and attached with springs. And what this allows you to do, if you have pack film, is to feed the next sheet in. The sheet of pack film actually comes out through these rollers. If you ever used pack film, you already know what I'm talking about. There was a tab that fit through these rollers. You pulled the tab, and this mechanism made it possible for the sheet of film to go through the rollers. It's a really cool, I really think it's amazing, the engineering behind this and how compact it is and how well it works. But unfortunately, no one makes pack film anymore. It's just not out there. And the pack film that survived has been dead for years and years. If you're thinking, oh, well, I might find some pack film on eBay, you might, but the pods are going to be dried up. There's just not any way, and trust me, I've tried, there's not any way to find pack film that's still viable. It's just not possible. Unless you're using, $200 a pack Fuji pack film that was freezer store or refrigerator stored. Then you might do well if you can afford $200 per pack. I cannot. So, really simple to do. Once this is done, this holder fits in here seamlessly, and that's the only reason we're doing that. We're just taking this stuff out to make this holder fit. That's it. Okay? So, with that said, let's switch the overhead. I'm going to show you how to do this conversion. Okay, for this first part of the conversion, we'll be modifying the film lid. You do not need to have the rest of the camera open, just the back. Just open up the back of the camera. That's all you need. And we're going to use a small flathead screwdriver like this. We'll be taking this piece out and then this piece. And there are some springs in there. Those are sometimes a little hard to get to, but I'll show you that part as well. This spring, this metal spring that's built into these backs, you don't have to remove this to use the PolaStax Instax Wide film holder. You can leave this in. The reason that I tend to take these out, and I just, with some safety glasses on, I just pry them out with my fingers, is that then I can more easily use filter trays and mask trays. Now that's a whole other thing, and that's in a different video. So this part is up to you. And this is not even 30 seconds. You just twist these back and forth, and they break right about here. So that part is up to you. I'm not going to do that on this particular camera. If you choose to do that, again, easy to do. Just wear some sort of goggles, safety glasses, whatever, just in case. All right, so what do we do? Well, we're going to start with these little screws right here. And we just unscrew these. That's one. And that is two. And that is three. I've had too much coffee today, as you can see. All right. Now, this part just comes right off, like that. Now you can see the springs. I'm just going to pull this metal rod out, like so. This whole part should come out. If it doesn't, you may have to wriggle it just a little bit to get it out. Mind the springs. Sometimes these pop out and get lost in the side of the film back lid. Just be careful if they don't. All right, again, smart to wear some goggles or safety glasses of some sort. It's a good idea. This is the one spring that's kind of a pain here. And this one, you don't even need to, you just twist that piece comes right out. So you're left with this, okay? I don't even think a minute has passed, so I may need to revise my estimate. That one was super, super fast. Was that even 2 minutes? I'm not sure. Any dust or grime here that you see, make sure you blow that out, clean that out, okay? You're almost there. Like, we're almost done with this. We just have to address the rollers because I like to light proof the rollers. You don't absolutely have to do that, but I think it's a good idea. So before I get to that, I'm going to move these things out, clean up my area. Now let me show you what I'm talking about with the rollers. So by pressing this red tab, you know, press it, kind of pull it out, and then with your hand here, turn the film back over, and this exposes the rollers. Now, why I think you need to light proof the rollers is that this piece, remember this is designed to work with pack film, and the tabs stick out here. And then you're actually pulling the sheets of film through the roller and out of this. So see that gap there? And there's a gap, a little bit of a gap sometimes between these rollers. That's why I think they need to be light proof. Now, there's two options. The first option is to, if you have a 3D printer, go to Thingiverse. You're going to download the Polaroid roller light guard, print that out. I have one that I've already printed here just to show you how it fits. This is a 5-minute print. It's not complicated, but it fits exactly over these rollers. There's a little groove here, and there are end grooves there. You just literally snap it on like that. You push it down, and then it snaps in place. Now it's not going to come out. Once it's snapped in place, it's stuck. It's not going anywhere. And I don't know if you can see that or not. Hopefully you can. But now this is light proof. That's it. The film back, it's ready to use Instax Wide. We can put a PolaStax holder in this right now, close the back, and go shoot with it. It's ready to go. See how easy that is? Now, let's say you do not have access to a 3D printer. What do? It's harder to get this back out. I'm not going to, once you get it in there, it's hard to get out again. What do you do if you don't have a 3D printer? Well, all you really need is either a piece of plastic that's very thin, less than 1 millimeter thick, or you could take cardstock and just cut out 2 pieces of cardstock, one for the top and one for the back, and take some light proof tape and then just tape all of that in. You don't need to overdo it. You just want to prevent any light from getting through cracks, or if you happen to accidentally nudge this as you were opening the back, you don't want light to get into the film back. And that's really it. You're done with that part. That part is done. Okay? Now, before we talk about the battery conversion, let me just make sure that's closing properly. And it is. This camera has not been worked on, as you can see. I haven't done anything to this one. Let me take this lid off. And let's talk for a moment about, let's put it in the right orientation, the light meter and the lens. Now, you're exposing Instax Wide, which is 800 ISO film, in a camera that used 3000 ISO film, and then also, with that little switch, 75 ISO film. How do you trick your camera into exposing Instax Wide correctly? Well, what you want is a cap that goes over the light meter for the 3000 speed. Let me show you what that looks like. For our cameras at PolaStax.com, each one of them comes with this cap, as well as an over-the-lens filter adapter. These are included with every refurbished camera that you buy at PolaStax.com. All this has in it is a 2-stop ND Jill. I use a large sheet because I'm making a lot of these, but you can buy these at B&H Photo or at other places. These are Lee filters. This is 75 by 75 millimeters. This is a 0.3 ND. That means 1 stop. So you can cut. You want to cut out a piece identical to whatever you're putting over here. I wish I had done this beforehand, but the easiest thing to do, I haven't done this because I have a 3D printer. But if you don't have a 3D printer and you don't have the ability to make a little cap like this in with a 3D printer, you could just take a soda bottle cap, buy a bottle of Sprite and take the cap off. You want to cut the closed end of the cap off, and then you're going to cut a circle right out of the filter. You need 2 stacked if it's 0.3. If you buy a 0.6, I'm not sure if they sell those, but if you buy a 0.6, then you're just cutting 1. Then you would just tape that or glue it to your soda bottle cap and put that over this light meter. That's for the 3000 setting, okay? So either make your own, which you can totally do. It's not hard to do. Just measure this, and you can print one of those in 5 minutes. Not hard. Or make your own with the soda bottle cap. Now, at the 75 ISO setting, now you've got to reduce the light going into the camera, not the light going into the light meter. So at the 75 ISO setting, you want to take your light meter cap off. You're going to put your filter holder on, and you need a 3-stop 0.9 3-stop ND filter. A 40.5 millimeter filter just drops into this. This is super easy to use. Again, I have another video that explains how to do that, so I'm not going to go into that right at this second. All right, just slips on and slips off. That's part 2 of the conversion. You see, there was no actual expertise needed. You just need to be able to either print out a little cap or take a soda bottle cap. And you don't have to have both of those options, right? If you just want to shoot at this lower ISO setting at 75, that's up to you. You can get one of our filter adapters for, I think it's $14.95 at PolaStax.com. They're very affordable. And then buy your own 3-stop ND filter to put into that. Or if you prefer, you could just make the light meter cap and then just always shoot on the ISO 3000 setting. That's part 2. Pretty cool, right? Okay, now part 3. Let's discuss part 3. And to discuss part 3, I'm going to put this back on to protect the lens of the camera. Part 3 is the battery conversion. And this one, as I said, has not been converted yet. I'm going to show you, just to make this a little easier for those of you who you may not have a 100. So let me show you. This has already been converted. This is actually a 440. Now, here's what's weird about these 100 to 400 series cameras. I guess it's not weird. It's just a feature. Some of the cameras have the battery compartment structured in one way. Other cameras have it structured in a different way. I think sometimes it has to do with how expensive the camera was, although I'm not sure. So this 100 actually has the more, let's call it the sturdier version of the battery compartment, where the faceplate covering the other side is actually riveted in, unlike this one where it's screwed in. Now, the advantage that you have in having a camera where you can remove the front battery plate is that it makes it a little bit easier to do this battery conversion. So I have a piece, sorry, I turned away from my mic. I have a piece that, again, this is a 3D printed piece. I'm going to make this available for free. This will not fit every 100 to 400 series camera, but it will fit cameras like the 440. And if you're not sure whether it will fit or not, all you need to do is, after we get this part out, you just want to look to see if there are screws that hold on the front here. If there are screws holding that on, then you can print this piece out, and it's available for free at Thingiverse. Print that piece out and just fix it to the front, and what that's going to give you is a little more room and makes it easier for this for these little battery holders to fit. The other thing that I do when I convert the more affordable options like the 440 is that I also take a hacksaw and I saw through this part, being very careful not to saw through the part where the battery door latch is contained. I hope you can see that. There are these pieces of plastic that surround the battery door latch. You don't want to break those or saw through those. But there's a piece that does connect. Can you see that right there? That part I hacksawed through just to make it easier for this to fit. Like this. Too many things in my hands at once. Hold on. See how nicely that fits in there? It's just super easy, and then voila, all done. So that piece will work with the more affordable models. For the others, you have to do something a little different. All right. We're going to take this screwdriver. If you have an old, rotten battery in the back of your pack film camera, be careful with those batteries. As they age, they split, they leak, they're toxic. So be careful when you take those out. Make sure that you not only throw that in the trash, get rid of it, but any corrosion that you see in the camera, also get rid of that as well. So there's a little screw right here in the middle. This is a Phillips head screwdriver. And we just take that right out. And now you can see what we've got. We've got a couple of battery terminals. And then we have these pieces of plastic here. This is the one tricky part with doing this battery conversion, the way that I do it. Because these pieces are directly molded. They're molded and attached to that front plate. So if you're not careful when you break these pieces to make room for the battery case, you can actually create holes in that plate. Now that doesn't have any effect on the operation of the camera, because this whole part of the camera is not connected in any way to the film compartment or to the bellows. It's all separate. So if you do end up making a crack there, don't worry about it. I mean, it may affect the look of the camera cosmetically, but it's not an issue. So we just take this, and I start kind of here at the end. Again, wear protective eyewear of some kind so you don't get a piece of plastic in your eyes. You see, I'm doing this one piece at a time to try to avoid breaking that front piece. This is I wish there was a better way to do this, but there's really not. All right, so let's dump all of that out. Okay. And then we're going to take this battery case and take the lid off. And let's just see, will that fit? Yeah, that's going to fit. I might take a little more off of this carefully. I'm going to carefully just do that. That's the other thing I was saying. It's ironic. This is a model 100. The more expensive, the nicer models, the 250, the 350, the 450, they have this same battery compartment, which in terms of the build quality is great, but in terms of converting it to use AAA batteries, kind of a pain in the neck. Whereas the cheaper models, like I said, once you have that faceplate printed up, it's actually easier in this. You're just unscrewing, putting that faceplate on, and screwing it back on. The hacksaw thing, I think, I consider that to be easier than this. This stresses me out because I don't want to crack this and ruin it. I'm just going to try to get this one last little piece, and look at that. I got it. Oh, that's it. We did it. Okay. Get all of those pieces of plastic out of there. Okay. All right. So, you may have noticed that you have a white wire and a black wire, and then you have a black wire and a red wire. Oh, which goes to which? Always black to black. Don't worry if this is, so this is red, that doesn't matter. This is still positive, this is still negative. Black is always negative, okay? Now again, on these, you're going to see that there's a little, I believe this is a ground terminal of some sort. Okay. Now you can just cut from here and use this. The issue with that sometimes is that if this contact is corroded, or if this, it's really hard to see this, I know, but if this wire going to this terminal is corroded, then you may not get a good flow of current. So the other thing to be aware of is it's fine to cut from here, to cut this black wire and just use that. This one doesn't matter. You're going to use this, and to give yourself a little more room to work, I like to pull this out like that. Just makes it a little bit easier. So totally can use this, and probably a good idea to do that. Okay, so what's involved with that? Well, you take your wire cutters. Again, like there's so many videos and articles showing how to do this. I'm just kind of running through it real quick. But take your wire strippers and you strip that off carefully. And then after that's stripped, you're just putting this together. If you have a soldering iron, good idea to solder those together. If you don't worry too much about it. Just be careful when you change your batteries. Do put electrical tape over it, or if you have shrink tubing is even better. That's what we use at PolaStax.com. And that's pretty much it. The only thing to really be aware of before you do all of that is just to make sure that that holder, this battery holder, actually fits in the case. And it's a good idea to do that, obviously, with the lid closed. So let me cut this wire just so we can actually see this in action. I'm going to make sure that that closes. Yep, it will. It just needs a little bit of adjustment. You don't have to use this particular style of battery case. There are other people out there that are using these cases from Amazon that are really cheap and that actually have the batteries side by side rather than like this. So they're stacked. So in a cylinder. The problem that I have with those is the contacts are bare, so it's pretty easy for you to get a short between a piece of metal and then the battery. I actually had that happen early on in this process when I was playing with these cameras. I tried that method and it actually had a short, battery overheated, damaged the camera. So be careful of that. Like, make sure that your contacts are covered. See how easy that was? Anyone can do it. You can take any Polaroid 100 to 400 series lane camera and get it ready for Instax in 5 minutes. You can do it. Now, if you'd rather not, if you'd rather just buy a camera that you can put Instax into, go to PolaStax.com, have a look at our refurbished cameras. Every camera is shutter tested and the light meter has been recalibrated. So you know right when you put Instax in the camera that it's going to be exposed correctly. And let's face it, that's a big part of the battle with converting Instax to Polaroid. Remember, the PolaStax Instax Wide film holder makes this possible. Visit PolaStax.com, have a look. I think you're going to like what you see. That does it for this week. Next week, we're going to talk about using on-camera and off-camera flash with a Polaroid pack film camera. I'll see you then.